You're welcome back. So, former President John Dramani Mahama is most influential person. He's been named as the most influential Ghanaian in the first edition of the Myjoyonline Influence Award 2017. So, with some 3,610 voters in the poll, 100% determined by the public, the former president came top among several other names. Now, voters nominated political favorites like President Akufo-Addo, Rebecca Akufo-Addo, Dr. Bawumia. Popular pastors also made the list, notably Pastor Mensa Otabil, Bishop Dag Heward-Mills, Archbishop Duncan Williams. Journalists like Manasseh Azure Awene, our very own, and hit singer Shatta Wale were also the choices of other voters. The full list is coming up on our screens. I'm sure you can see the list. So, most impressive minister was Peter Amewu. We also had the most disappointing minister as Hawa Kumsin. There's more. I'm sure if you visit Myjoyonline, you get to have the whole list. But my colleague, Nathan Gaduga, has joined us in the studios, and we'll be talking more about it. Some ministers that people wanted to be sacked included Minister for Special Development Initiative, that's Hawa Kumsin, Gender and Social Protection Minister Otiko Afisa-Jaba. They wanted them to sack them. Also, we had Deputy Trade and Industry Minister Carlos Nahinkra, also Senior Minister Yao Osafumafo. Interesting, people wanted him sacked. And of course, Defense Minister Dominic Nitiwu also. We also had MP of the Year, Ofosia Irebi MP, Kojo Ponkroma made the MP of the Year. Interesting, nominations and votes there on that Influence Award, Myjoyonline Influence Award. Also, Multimedia Personality of the Year, we had the late Kojo Asare Bafwe Champong, aka Kaba. He was the most influential. We had him there, that Multimedia Personality of the Year. We'll have more discussion on it. You can get a full list on myjoyonline.com. But I have one of the able men that make Myjoyonline happen in the studios, Nathan Gaduga. Good afternoon and welcome.
Good afternoon,
welcome to the polls.
Well,
so Happy New Year, I should say. But let's talk about this polls. How did it all start?
Well, it started with a discussion in the office. You know, there are very loudmouth guys in there. So we started having a debate as to who we thought was the most impressive minister, who we thought was the most controversial, or who was the most disappointing MP or minister at the time. And the suggestion came that instead of having this discussion in the office, why not allow our readers out there to also make an input and to tell us who they think is probably the best minister, the most impressive minister, the most influential Ghanaian. So we decided to put it out there for our readers to make the decision for us. And then it was more like a 10-day event, just to allow the readers to select, depending on the categories we have, which of them they thought was the most influential person, who they thought was the most disappointing MP, minister as well. So the categories were many. And after a 10-day voting exercise, our readers came out with the verdict as you have announced.
Were you surprised at the way or the participation of your readers in this, something that just started as a discussion in the office and then went on?
We were very, very surprised. As a matter of fact, we had more voters than this, largely because people voted more than once.
Okay, so our
technical guys had to go through the pain of deleting people who have voted more than once. So eventually we came up with the 3,600 voters. But it was largely dependent on what our readers thought about the people they have voted for.
So interesting, former President John Dramani Mahama comes up top as the most influential person for 2017. Is that not quite surprising for some who were wondering, because he's not in power?
Well, depending on where you stand, it may not be a surprise, especially for the followers of NDC, even though John Mahama, ex-president John Mahama, has been out of office, he has been very active in NDC activities. He's attended a number of events organized by the NDC. There's been peace walks, unity walks, and the main man there has been ex-president John Mahama. He has been vocal on a number of issues, so he has been in the limelight. So for followers of the NDC, it might not come as a surprise that he is actually the most influential Ghanaian for 2017.
And the most impressive minister, John Peter Amewo, Minister for Natural Resources.
Any doubts?
No, for me, I don't have any doubt. But there were talk also. Most people that I spoke to before the show thought that he deserved it.
I wouldn't. I completely agree with that. Given the kind of efforts he's put into the anti-Galamsey fight, he's been tremendous. And you know, people thought it was going to be a 9-day wonder. People thought that okay, he was just doing it for political gimmicks, this was not going to last, but he's shown commitment all the way through. He's been forthright. Sometimes he's gone ahead to issue threats. He stood his ground, and I think he's been consistent, he's been vociferous, and he's largely done very well. I wasn't surprised he came out as the most impressive minister for 2017.
But the ministers that people wanted out of office, quite surprising that we have the defense minister, Dominic Nitiwo. Not surprising to many though, but we had Howard Kumsin also, possibly because of events of late last year around the budget and the construction of the website and all. What are some of the other categories? I'm sure we'll be looking at
them as well.
The sack list, what are they expecting? That they'll be sacked by the president? Or you know, affected by reshuffle?
Yeah, there's this perception that the Akufo-Addo administration has too many ministers, and that was what actually started the discussion in the office. And people were looking out, okay, how do we prune the number down? Who are your possible targets? Who would you want sacked if you were the president? And given the performances of the appointees so far, who have you been impressed, and who would you sit down and like, oh no, I don't think this person deserves to be where he is, given what he or she has done? So we eventually allowed the readers to determine who they wanted sacked from office, and they came up with some interesting names. Senior Minister
Osafo.
yeah, and I wouldn't have too much qualms about that. You know why? I would not on any day doubt the competencies of Mr. Osafo. But really, given the position and the office he's occupying, you cannot determine what role exactly he is playing. And even though he's been chit-chatting, talking to the economic management team and all that, you cannot pinpoint exactly what he's doing. People
say his role is more of a background, is not the forefront kind of position that he's
Ghanaians, at least those who voted him, they wanted him sacked. Or maybe they would rather want him play a more significant role, a role where you would be able to say, okay, this is what we asked you to do, and this is what you have been able to do.
See you, doing it. So is it like we're going to see this influence awards get to a point where we'll now get to award the people next year? How is it going to look like? I'm more excited
we're actually overwhelmed because this is something that actually started as a discussion in the office, and then we decided to put our best effort and try to see how engaging it would be, at least for our readers and the general public as well. And it turned out really well, and I'm sure by the end of this year, something similar is going to happen, and it will be bigger than last year.
We look forward to it. Nathan Gadiga, we are grateful.
Thank
and
you
congratulations
so much.
to the Myjoyonline team.
So much.
Good job done.